I managed to escape out to Dullstroom last weekend and did some of the riding out in that area. This pass in particular is called Groot Zuikerboschkop, according to mountain passes. According to cyclists, it's been named Kraaifontein climb, I think. The pass seems to change. About 3 months prior, it was far more rocky and loose and difficult, and you had to concentrate midway up. That's become a lot easier. This section here has become a little bit more treacherous. Those ruts were far deeper than the camera lets on. And then going up this section, there really was only one line. The rest was pretty rutted and pretty deep. Again, the camera hides the scale and obviously the angle of the climb. This is pretty much the same line I use on the mountain bike up and down, and also the same line I use coming down with the motorbike. But obviously with the motorbike, the extra weight does make it a little bit more exciting, but obviously I don't have to pedal, which is great. The full pass to the R540T junction between Dullstroom and Leidenberg is in the region of 12 kilometers. The main climbing portion is probably around 8 to 9 kilometers. There are some small climbs thereafter, but the majority of the climbing is done. It does get a bit tiring after a while because you are leaning back quite a bit and riding over a lot of loose rock. This section in particular was still loose, and I made a few bad line choices and ran a little bit low on steam. One thing about the 850, it does have a very long first gear, which makes crawling very difficult. Out to the right is a nice waterfall. Up ahead is a section that in the wet forms a very nice mud puddle, which is exceptionally unpredictable, far better in the dry. If you look at the shadow on the right, you see how much the bike is actually moving around. Demonstrates how effective this camera stabilization is. That section is actually exceptionally rocky. It's sort of rock from the side of the mountain and has a couple of ditches in it. Same as this section, there are a few ruts. Again, the camera flattens out the ruts, and you don't really notice the rocks with the stabilization. But they tend to knock the wheel around, and you've got to stay on your toes going through here. This is one of the nicest sections on the route as you enter into this sort of forest section. Further up the road you can actually hear water running. I don't know if it's a stream or a small river. Never seen it, always hear it. It always seems to be a steady supply of water in the area. I've never ridden this section in the rainy season, or at least soon after rain, but just looking at this hard-packed mud, it looks like the kind of mud that would make life very difficult in the wet. Probably slip all over the place. Now in the past, this is where the climbing got real, or at least just around that bend. But already, yeah, you are starting to climb, and if you ride it on a bike or a mountain bike, you definitely notice you're climbing at this stage. But you'll also notice that the bike starts to run a little bit low on revs, and I have to drop down a gear going up here. It is relatively steep. Certainly, I can tell you, my legs tell me it's exceptionally steep when I'm cycling. In the past, this was far looser, far more rocky, but it looks like some rain came through and the vehicles have sort of compacted the ground. And it's actually not bad. It's not difficult to get traction. Occasionally there are some weird bumps and divots that vehicles have left behind. And obviously there still are some loose rocks, but for the most part, it's far easier than what it used to be. Again, the camera does a good job of flattening things out here, but this is a climb, and along this stretch there are quite a few ditches and ruts. You sort of can see them when the visor comes up towards me every so often. This section coming up over here is weirdly rutted, and then right at the top it has sort of a little kicker. You can see the visor coming up a couple of times there. And then, according to those on Strava, this is the top of the climb, or at least from a cycling perspective, before entering this nice forest section with some really big old blue gums lurking on the side of the road. And then thereafter it's a few little climbs and you're done, probably about 2 to 3 k's to the T-junction. And then we're finally at the T-junction, right to Leidenberg and left to Dullstroom. It's approximately 2 k's out from Dullstroom at this point. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope the backing music isn't becoming too monotonous if you've listened to my previous videos, but trying to hunt down non-copyrighted backing music is a rather tedious affair. So I've now resorted to using pretty much what I have.